Hey there, Weeb Army. This is the Goblin King, and I'm here with another anime review. This season's anime still haven't ended, so I'm still going back to come up with more content for this segment. This time I went back to last summer's pickings looking for something that looked fun. I found a few that I'd been wanting to watch too, that I forgot about, and that kind of annoyed me. However, I'm dedicated to bringing you all something to watch myself, so I ignored all the ones I wanted to watch in order to binge an entire season. Imagine the pain and torment that I felt having to sit here and watch and laugh at a fun anime. The personal sacrifice that I've made. For all of you.
Feel honored!
So some of you may remember the review I did last month, Combatants Will Be Dispatched. The show I picked up this time actually reminded me a lot of that, in that the protagonist of the series was, in general, a piece of shit. A nearly irredeemably selfish asshole. Only interested in his own desires and goals. That one was fucking great, as was this one. The stories were fun, the artwork was pretty decent, and the protagonist really made me laugh. So, what was it that I was watching then? Well, it was called Meikyuu Black Company. What was it about? Well, if you'll just be patient, I was fixing to tell you. The story follows a self-proclaimed NEET named Kenji Ninomiya. Through determination and savvy business dealings, Kenji managed to achieve his goal of living a lavish lifestyle without ever having to actually work a day in his life. Yet, just as he was starting to really enjoy the fruits of his non-labor, a portal opens up beneath his feet and whisks him away to another world. A fantasy world at the beginnings of its own industrial revolution, where it works to mine its energy source, demonite, from the depths of monster-infested dungeons. Having arrived in this world with absolutely nothing aside from his banana hammock and low-battery iPad, Kenji finds himself once again starting over from scratch. Desperate to regain his previous wealth and his lost dreams of living the NEET life, Kenji uses his own wits and savvy to make that torturous climb back up to the top. Along the way, he meets several unusual characters and forms his party, the Black Company, where no scheme or act is too low so long as it gets Kenji Ninomiya closer to his goal. What can I say about Kenji that I didn't already say in the run-up to introducing the anime? For the most part, Kenji really is a piece of shit. He mocks and belittles and shamelessly uses those he considers to be beneath him in order to get what he wants. Whether that's kicking a partner out to be bait for a monster so that he can get the upper hand on the beast, using magic items to manipulate his co-workers, shamelessly mooching off of someone else, or transporting a dangerous beast to the middle of a populated town to buy time. Nothing seems to be off limits for him. However, that's what makes him fun. What makes it funny is how often things blow up in his face just when he's thinking he's got the upper hand in a situation. The thing that makes him more than a one-dimensional villainous caricature, though, is that deep down, below the general muck of his soul is something better. A small core of decency that makes him want to help the people around him over the long term, even if something he does leads to burdens for them in the short term. Though he's petty and self-centered, that small core of decency inside him really makes him a decent character. I mean, he's still an asshole, but he's a lovable one. Wanibe is the first friend/victim that Kenji picks up over his misadventures. Wanibe is every description keeps calling him a crocodilian demi-human or beast man. But I just thought of him as a lizard man the entire time I was watching this thing, so that's what I'll stick with. Now, Wanibe isn't dumb by any means, but he's very definitely naive. Trusting Wanibe pretty much just to that narrow point of stupidity. At first, he's very much just a hapless stooge for most of Kenji's schemes. Watch the first episode and you'll see what I mean. Yet, over the course of the series, he gains enough confidence in himself that he becomes one of the few companions that Kenji actually trusts to pull his weight and contribute to things, and someone Kenji relies on. He very much does come to think of Kenji as a friend and companion as well. Rin is a beast. No, literally. She's a dragon-like dungeon monster that Kenji sees just enough intelligence in to use for his own purposes. Also, she's hungry. All the time. Remember during the Meikyuu-chan review when I was talking about Hana basically being a hobbit? Yeah, this goes beyond that. Miles beyond that. She's also very, very powerful. Later on in the anime, she does start developing emotions beyond her own hunger, and it's actually rather adorable to be honest. Then Then there's Shia. She pops in a few episodes in as a hero that's been hired by the evil mining company to oversee the exploration divisions. She's a very powerful hero and totally devoted to the company as she sees hard work to the point of death to be the one virtue. Her personality is a rather hard one to tackle. I suppose she's just a standard upright heroic type. She's not boring because of it or anything, not to me. It's just I can't think of the proper terminology to describe her. Enthusiastic, that's one. Upright and heroic are probably the best descriptors. Also powerful. She's a hero after all. Then there's Ranga. Ranga's a magic user. She definitely looks like that ultra cutesy lollybait that you see in some of these at times. I say looks because she's definitely not what she appears to be. Also, she's the bratty type. I'm just gonna leave that one at that. Yeah. There's also the Ant Queen, who's a literal ant queen. She's definitely devoted to Kenji, and for the same rather crazy reasons that the Spider Girl was devoted to Mizumi in Tsukimichi. She was kind of a fun character, but you don't really see her that much. On the other side of the field is Belza. She runs the mining company that Kenji and seemingly most of the population of the world works for. She's a demon in both form and personality. She runs the company like her own personal fiefdom, and she only cares about profits. Workers are replaceable and only useful so long as they continue to make profits for the company. There was definitely one odd thing about this anime in that it seemed to run over several slightly different acts. I mean, it was pretty episodic. Though, as always, each episode did still build on the ones before it. Yet there seemed to be what I'd most definitely be tempted to call arcs, if they were longer. You had the first part of the series, then the second part, and the third. Each one of these separate acts involved Kenji in a different setting and with a slightly different goal within each one. It honestly was kind of interesting, if a little confusing when you first got into that second act. Like I said, I'd almost call them arcs if they'd been longer than a handful of episodes each. The second act was only like 3 or 4 episodes, for instance. All in all, it was kind of a neat way to do things and really kind of kept the interest up rather than bogging things down with just the constant dungeon delvings and all for 12 episodes. Sort of keeps the viewers on their toes, so to speak. Also, it was pretty self-contained. The series, I mean. It ended on a pretty decent note and a decent spot. It's one of the few anime that I can say actually felt finished. I mean, it did kind of leave things open for a second season, if they wanted to, but it doesn't really need one, if I'm being honest. I like the character designs here, for the most part. They were slightly better than last week's anime review. The backgrounds weren't nearly as detailed, though, which was kind of unfortunate for me. I think we all know by now how in love I am with backgrounds. The stories were good and entertaining. The interactions between the characters, especially those between Kenji and Rim, or Kenji and Shia, were really funny. I would honestly love to see more characters like this in other anime. Kenji, I mean. He was fucking great. Otherwise, Goblins, I think that's pretty much it. There wasn't really anything I can nitpick about this anime. The story was solid, it felt finished, the characters were good, the art was decent, I have no complaints. Aside from a really creepy part involving Ranga, but I won't give anything away. If you watch the anime, you'll know it when you see it. So, let me know what you think in that handy section down below. While you're down there, you can join my Viridian company by crushing those like and subscribe buttons and bringing me massive profits. I'll see you all tomorrow for another pop culture spanking and possibly in the chat on F&T. I'm always late though, so you'll probably miss me. Anyway, see you then. Lates.